Welcome to another episode of the APX Podcast. And today we have a special guest who came all the way from Fairview, or should I say Farview? And we have Miss Vanya with us. She is an agency owner, not specifically a VA agency, but she utilizes and she hires VAs part time to do projects locally and globally. So I'd like to introduce Miss Vanya. Miss Vanya, please tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, how you started, and where you are right now.
Okay, so hi everyone. I am Vanya Tantoco. I own Z Studios marketing agency. So I started way back 2012. I was telling a story nga kanina. It was an accident actually. I became a VA because my professor from college went to the US, married someone from there. And then they made a VA agency. So parang I got the invite to join a call with them. So parang sabi niya, oh, what are you doing now? Sabi ko, I was doing selling on Multiply and Facebook. Oh, how many followers do you have? So I had 2,000. So doon ako nag-start. Tapos parang sabi niya, oh, do you want to work online? It's gonna be easy. It was a day shift. I was working 7 to 3 p.m. So 8-hour shift. Dire-diretso, I was doing SEO, but I wasn't actually told, as in, nung binigay yung task sa akin, it was more of like, oh, you just have to write the descriptions of the YouTube video. So parang ako, I didn't know it was SEO already. So I was like tweaking. I had like a set of keywords. So that's how I started as a VA. So from the VA agency, siguro 3 years down the road, that's when I started my marketing agency because I was tapped specifically of another college professor locally, which I don't know why. But locally, this marketing professor of mine became my mentor. So parang he tapped me na, hey, can you do project management for me? AKA, can you do everything for marketing? So,
Everything.
yeah. So, you know how it goes naman. Pag project manager, parang lahat gagawin mo. Oy, pwedeng ikaw na rin ba mag-post? Sige, ikaw na rin mag-edit. O sige, lahat yan natutunan along the way. So that's where I started. And then when I kind of like figured na, oh, baka pwede kong i-offer also sa iba. So that's when I started. Parang, sige, I'll hire another graphic artist na part-time. We're all doing online na even before really having the term virtual assistants. Parang,
Right.
sige, let's like work together, chat via Facebook. Hindi pa kami Viber. Chat lang kami sa Facebook na, okay, sige, can you submit this? Ito yung brief, ito yung kailangan namin, ganyan. So that's where it all started. So I think that's where the agency came about because I was doing it as a freelance and then I started tapping other freelancers because I wanted to like grow and accept more clients because technically I didn't want to go corporate. I graduated 2012 pala. So right after graduation, that's when I worked as a VA.
Wow.
So
So
2 months
that was your
after.
very first job.
Yes, it was my first job. And sabi ko nga, kwento ko kanina kay Tin. Sabi ko, I was just paid 15K at that point. But I was working for a US client. So parang ako, okay. So, doon ko na na-realize na, oo nga, no? Parang less than $2 per hour lang ako nung time na yon.
So you were a minimum wager locally and in the US, less than
Correct.
minimum.
Yes, exactly. So parang dun ako na, okay, yun pala yung VA. But that's where I started also learning about iba pang platforms. But to be honest, I never got a client from other platforms. It was more of direct contacts, referrals, yeah.
Right. And would you say your experience with your very first virtual assistant role was worth with all the experience and learning, even with a below the minimum?
Yeah, actually,
Right.
that paved the way for me to think that there's actually a market pala for it. So parang di ko naisip na, oh, I can work remotely. So I had the idea of really applying for corporate, pero hindi, wala, half-hearted, kumbaga. I didn't want to go to corporate. I didn't want to sit down 8 to 5 because I just don't want to do it. So parang ako, sige, better yet, do it at home. Tingnan ko, 7 to 3, I can work like this. And then on the side, I was doing production. So I was a PA for mga rackets lang. As in, parang, okay, may shoot dito, pwede ka mag-PA. Sige, sama ko
Wow,
doon.
you did that too outside the...
Outside of being a VA, so parang
Okay.
at least meron akong, at the time, parang I was thinking, at least I had a stable income. that's
Okay.
gonna go in 15 and 30th, and then I can get another job. So parang sabi ko, I'll just try out if I want to do scripting, if I want to do PA. I had to, as in punos, as in, okay, artista, ikaw may batang artista, pwede mo bang laruin muna? Okay, sige, I'll do it.
So you were in the world of creatives generally.
Yes, generally,
And
correct.
prior to that, what was your course in college?
So I graduated cum laude from Miriam College.
Wow.
I did BA Com. So I was a
Wow.
com student all the way. But when I was in high school, I didn't even think that I would take that up. Because parang
Really?
wala talaga akong, parang graduate, as in parang fourth year high, I didn't know what I wanted. So parang, let's take whatever course that's popular in that school. So
It was
it was com.
communications.
Yeah, it was com for MC. I also came from MC, grade school and high school. So parang, okay, sige, let's take that in. I wasn't proud at all back then. As in parang going to college in Miriam. Because there was a notion that if you're from MC High, you don't want to go to MC College. Because technically, you've been there all your life. So parang if you go there to college, parang, bakit ka dyan magka-college? As in ganon.
Right.
But,
Right.
nung time na yun, sige, I'll take na lang whatever course it is. Because I really don't know what I wanted eh. Pero I don't know if I want to go into business. I don't even know if I want to go into medical. So I'd rather, sige, safe na lang tayo. Kasi the first 2 years of com, it was general.
Okay.
So if I wanted to shift in the middle of it, it was easier.
Mm.
So parang, okay, let's take whatever basics
Okay.
that I wanted. And then if somewhere along the way, I don't want to do it, o de, move over tayo sa next.
But you pushed through.
Yes.
Cum laude pa.
because I love pala what it was. Parang gusto ko pala, okay, I wanted pala speaking in front of people, which I didn't know. I
Right.
wanted pala writing. Parang yung marketing, pagdating ng marketing, oh, gusto ko pala yun. Tapos parang nagkaroon ng events, advertising. That's when I realized na, oh, maybe it's for me.
I think it's funny when you did mention that with BSCom. If you probably took the other route of taking business or marketing, I don't think you'd fall under the creatives
Correct.
part, because many people I know, I have many friends who took business but are now doing something else. And another batch of friends who took, just like you, BSCom, who is now in business and marketing as well. And specifically in the ads,
Creative agency.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which is quite, on the contrary, I think you now try to question taking whatever you took in college. Not most people or professionals did graduate with what they're practicing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
Agree.
if they were in the medical field, that they have to be,
Correct.
of course,
Yeah.
you got to pass the board and everything. But I still have, like, most of my friends who took electrical engineer, even some of the technical parts, they're doing something else right now.
Yeah.
Most of the, I believe, like the board type of courses where they require a board, like lawyers and everything. I think, to me right now, because of the modern age with technology and the information that's going around, having this best type of profession, like in TikTok, oh, this is what I do as a,
Correct.
let's say, an engineer, right? And people would tend to watch it and be like, oh, I want to be an engineer, right? A civil engineer. I like to build houses. Now, there's like this videos going around about reviewing houses for sale, and people just want to be like, oh, I want to be into real estate, even though if they were really built for accounting or anything like that.
Correct.
So it's good for you. I mean, cum laude, it's really, most VAs I know either did graduate college or didn't even graduate college, rather. Most of them are high school graduates, and some are not even educated. And for someone, like, expectation-wise, I think there's a big misconception where when you graduate, especially cum laude, you basically follow a path
Correct.
away from the VA world.
Agree. I
Right?
think
Right.
that was what was expected of me after college. People would like tend to, oh, why didn't you go for a corporate job? So everyone was asking, hey, gusto mo ba yung ganito? Bakit ayaw mo mag-apply dyan? I did try, to be honest. I did. But I ended up not liking it. Because parang, oh, I'm gonna be boxed from this time to this time and I wanna do more. And for me, it was more of, I think I didn't know that I was a creative up until I was there.
Right.
So parang when I was started to parang when I was starting to practice it, when I was going to shoots, oh, I enjoy it pala. Parang masaya pala yun. Nakakapagod. Oo, totoo. Like, it's super, as in, taxing with clients here and there, left and right, asking you this and that and that. But at the end of the day, parang, oh, it was fulfilling pala. So, I found that love for the job because I tried doing a lot of things that's connected to it.
These days, the word VA is something to be proud about compared to how it was in the very beginning.
Correct.
I think the way I would compare it is if OFWs would go out of the country as domestic helpers, people tend to see it that very low, especially foreigners. But I think the VA has revolutionized the term, and not from the BPO industry.
Correct.
The BPO industry, I know a lot of I'm gonna get a lot of hate about this. They sort of ruin our reputation as the Filipino workforce, but I think we're coming back strong with the VA term. And just like yourself, you're now an agency owner, and you have, how many do you have under your wing?
I have 50 people in the team.
Wow.
Actually, 52 just the other day.
Wow, 50 VAs under your,
Yeah.
and what does your agency specifically do as a service?
Okay, as a service, we're a marketing agency catering to local and international clients. But most of it now, it's 80% local. I used to be parang 50-50. So parang I had different clients international, but I wanted to serve more of the Filipino clients because it's closer to home. So parang technically you know the market, you understand them culturally better, so you understand how they're thinking. So that's why parang more comfortable kami sa local route. So this is where we kind of do social media, we do digital, we do paid ad placements and all those fluffy things for marketing. So
But you
that's
also
what we do.
You also do the offline type of campaigns.
Yes, we do. We
Okay.
do. For some that has retail, so for example, there are brands that would have mall branches. That's where we also do offline. So we do, let's say, influencer events. So we do them, invite people going in. We do like have a short launch. We launch a product, etc. So we also do that one.
Wow, I believe a lot of these VA agency owners can learn a lot from you, because by far, generally speaking, if you are a VA agency owner, then your initial target market is foreign,
Correct.
right? Who in their right mind would think, oh, let me just go local and do 80% local? I mean,
Correct.
it's not the question of anymore of how you find clients that pay more. I believe it's something about where you see your capabilities are.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty confident enough that you could find whatever other agencies are doing globally with foreign clients. I bet you're doing even 3 times more here locally.
Yes,
Correct me if I'm
no.
wrong, but
Yeah. So technically, what we did was to kind of like niche down. Well, that's the used term in VA. We kind of
Yeah,
niche
yeah.
down because we know that we understand the market here. So rather than us adapting to a different country and how they actually think and researching how they think, we wanted to be more local in a sense that it's easier to understand. It's easier to, hey, can we do an FGD? Because we can really tap them right then and there. So it was parang more of a strategic move. And we're more confident with that one. Although we work with NOAM clients now, which is kind of sporadic for SaaS specifically. But for local, it's really a diverse industry. As in, we do have various clients in multiple industries.
what would your advice be to VA agency owners right now who have probably the same goals as you do, or the vision? Because most VA agencies right now are they're either sourcing out VAs to work with clients directly, or just like you, they hire VAs to work on a project they're working on for particular set of clients. So what would your advice be? Give me like your top three advice if they want to look the other way instead of global, local.
Okay, so number one would be know your market. Who do you want to cater for and what services you want to offer? I think this is the most important thing. Because a lot of VAs would struggle a lot thinking about what to offer. So I think that's the first thing. They have to know what they're exactly offering and who they are offering it for. Because when you know it, you would be able to think, okay, I can actually do it locally because I know this kind of market, I understand it better, and I can serve them this kind of services. So that's number one. Number two, don't compare the dollars to the peso because sometimes people would tend to convert just because you're saying it's a VA agency. So automatically people would think, oh, that's for USD. And technically they would think earning USD would be a lot better compared to earning PHP. We know that local clients pay less, but if you know your worth, you can actually ask them to pay you more because you position yourself as that credible resource person or that credible agency who can actually make things happen. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're selling it or you're telling your clients to pay in peso. You will just get like a low income for that one. So that's second. And probably third would be upskilling. Upskilling in a sense that you have to understand other things aside from what you're servicing your clients for. So for example, I just did social media before. So it was Facebook, Instagram, and then I technically had to learn more about TikTok, more about Reels. How do we storytell? How do we create something? How do we make headlines? Which, to be honest, when I was in college, I hated copywriting. I had copywriting and it was my least favorite subject. But I ended up doing copywriting for clients when I graduated. So don't be afraid to like try new things. Maybe it's for you. Maybe you just didn't discover it early on. But then after doing it more often, after understanding what should be there, that's where you kind of see that, oh, maybe this is really for me. And maybe I can also offer it somewhere else.
That's great advice coming from a very rare kind of agency. Well, by far, everyone we've interviewed does foreign.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of a few that does local. I mean, I myself, I do local as well.
Mm-hmm.
Used to do local, not anymore, not as much, but I would say probably about 10 to 20%. Let me, before we get deeper into what you do as an agency, can you tell me who is Vanya outside the marketing world and the VA world?
Okay, so I have 4 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, I do have 4 kids.
You don't look like it.
I do have 3 boys and one little baby girl. My husband and I have been married for, oh my gosh, 10 years.
College sweetheart?
Grade school.
Oh!
Grade school. But we didn't end up like through and through. So we were like, it was a puppy love for sure. And then after that one, we got married na, and he became my real boyfriend na after college. So there was a huge gap in between because we were neighbors. So we kind of grew up together. We know the families, etc. And then we became like romantically involved like after college. So that was like a good 9-10 years in between. So we grew apart technically. So he had his thing, I had my thing. So it was good. So outside of it, I'm more of a family person. So that's the whole thing. This is why I also became an agency owner because I wanted to really spend time with my kids. Because I remember when I was a kid, my mom and dad used to have like, oh, I'm so busy, I'm at work. I had a birthday wherein my dad had to go somewhere and I was saying, oh, maybe we can do this and that and that. But he said, oh, but this one's booked for so long already, so I can't cancel. So that was my whole thinking to it when I had a family. So when I started it, I wanted to really spend time, to really take time to bring my kids to school, sometimes fetch them again. So it's really, for me, the main core of why I did VA work to begin with. I wanted to spend more time at home. That's number one and top priority. I also do enjoy working out. So in my day, I usually have a calendar. It's really like fixed. So I used to joke around a lot about people depending on their calendars.
And now
Yeah.
you're one of them.
And then now I have to tell people, oh, can you check my calendar first because it might be full. So it's so funny, but now I really depend on it. Even like the small things, I have to put it in there just so it's really organized and I would know exactly like what to do.
Straight out of college, you started working as a VA. From that time on to the time that you started a family, how were you able to manage four kids, the VA, and now an agency with 50 or more? how how do you get to deal with all? Don't tell me it's just a calendar, but because I know there's 30 days in a calendar, but how do you get to manage all of that?
I think it was the training that I had from school. So
Okay.
back when I was in high school, we were really trained to do multitasking. So we were trained to do calendaring. I'm not sure if it's really intentional,
Okay.
but I think most of the people from my batch or even my school, when I talk to them now as professional people, they also have the same trait. So I think it was more of a training that we didn't realize that the school was doing to us.
Was it specifically only in Miriam College?
I'm not sure though, but yeah, most of the people from my school would have the same
Wow!
project
Shout out to Miriam
management.
College because I think they're the only ones who actually train something that's practical and future proof. I've never heard this type of conversation with someone from Ateneo or
But
UP.
we had that, for example, back when we were in first year high school, the first thing that they actually taught us was to put everything on our calendar. So we would receive planners together with our books on a yearly basis, and the planners would have, okay, this is what you do. It's like a to-do list on top and then all your schedules below. So that's what we did for like the whole 4 years. So right off college, I was really banking on the planners. Even when I was working already, I was really like tracking all the dates. I know the due dates. And then they would tell you to prioritize. So for example, for the next day, you have to do this. You have to prioritize that first because it has to be done first. For example, subjects wise, you have like chemistry first. So you have to do chemistry first when you go home. So I think it was not intentional. Like it was indirect, but we were able to live it out up until now.
That's a first for me, where you learn something in school, you apply it in real life.
Which I didn't realize up until now that I was talking to like some friends also and some higher batches, and then they were like telling me the same story, and I was like, maybe it was the school that did this to us.
Have you passed this on to your children,
Yes.
and have they applied it ever since?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
I
And they
think I
know.
should start. Doing that
Yeah,
too,
and
yeah.
they know exactly, for example, for Fridays, they know exactly that Fridays is a free day right after school. So they would know that, for example, before I left the house earlier, Mom, can I play tomorrow because it's a Friday, it's a weekend, I have to rest. So they already know that you have to schedule your things. And Friday and Sundays are meant for rest. So they know that, oh maybe on Sunday we can do this and that and that. So they know already.
That's amazing. So to all you VAs out there, even agency owners, I mean, learn from Vanya. Calendar is an amazing. l- let me go back. When they were teaching you putting things on calendar, was this virtually or was this on a literal calendar?
Literal calendar.
Wow,
It was a
paper.
planner. Yeah, it was a
Wow.
paper. So I think I just came into a class, I mean, around 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And then the mentor was telling us, you have to write it down because the act of writing it down
Makes
is
you
also.
remember too.
Yes, correct. So it also trains your brain to remember.
I think that's the missing because these days we have
It's
like
virtual.
kids.
Correct.
Everyone's now virtual. They go to school and they don't write anymore. They use tablets,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just too much screen time. They don't have time to write it down. All they know is typing it down, but not
Correct.
writing it down. So I think
Yeah, yeah.
that's one thing I think most even VA parents,
Yeah.
right, or anyone with a profession that deals with digital or
Mm-hmm.
anything that's non-traditional, I think it's time for them to realize that next generation of our next generation of children and people after us, are sort of going to be dumbed down to a point where they can't even write,
Correct.
and they start writing like doctors. Now we can't read their handwriting, but I think it's very important for them to utilize whether it's a traditional type of calendar or put it on an app. So things that we learn from back then. But I'm really amazed with Miriam College. I think they're the only ones that made this into practice, and I know a lot of parents out there with their kids are not happy in Miriam College because they want to be in the school beside it or the college beside it.
Yeah.
But I think Miriam College is such a great school, and I have a few family members who were there, who went to college elsewhere. But I think they did practice what you were doing. I hope so. I hope
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
You better go back and ask them later. All right. So, very interesting life, and the way you time manage everything through a calendar. I think that's all what it takes.
Yeah.
And all throughout your path or all throughout your career going up to becoming an agency, what would you say your challenges were or the hurdles that you faced that were? Can you share something? Well, can you share an experience that was to a point where you felt like quitting?
Yeah, okay. So I've had like multiple foreign clients just before I went and really localized the services. I used to work with UK, AU, and US. So those are the three markets that I went into. And I think the challenge is the cultural difference and how they deal with things. They're very straightforward, and we Filipinos are very soft
Sensitive.
and sensitive. So it was a struggle at first, but then I realized it wasn't about you as a person. It was just about the work. So you just have to keep up and really listen and really know what they want, because when you reach that, they would also trust you as a VA, which I think has to be cascaded to the new generation of VAs, because a lot of these people now tend to go AWOL when they feel so sensitive about things, which they shouldn't be, because these are part of their jobs. So technically, that's, I think, the main struggle that they have to go through to understand the market better. So if you are able to understand who your clients are, how they are as a person, you would be able to understand where they're coming from as well.
Would you say most VAs would have that challenge of trying to understand foreign culture such as the US, where they're just straightforward, blunt,
Yeah.
and with, like you said, they care about the outcome of the work and the project and the results. They don't care how you do it, whether you're emotionally involved into the work or not. They just want the results to come out the way they expect it to be. Do you think it's a challenge for most VAs? That's why they tend to quit with foreign clients?
Yes, I think that's very apparent. I think nowadays, just watching TikToks and all these VAs ranting about their clients and just reading through Facebook groups is actually um, quite alarming. Seeing a lot of these people quit because they take it personally. So a lot of people who became a VA probably 10 years ago are now seniors would tell them that, hey, you just have to suck it up. Technically, you just have to accept the fact that they give you feedback and they're very good at it. And we Filipinos are not very good with feedbacks. That's what we need to learn. And working with someone from a different culture, you really have to think and accept the fact that they have to give feedback because you're working remotely. You don't have a direct connection. So it's different when it's virtual compared to like working with someone that you see face to face.
And I think a lot of VAs tend to miscommunicate or misunderstand
Probably.
the review or feedback given because instead of learning from it and accepting it as it is, I think we're still at the guilty part is them not accepting their mistakes and even them not understanding or misunderstanding what was going on. And I think that's the problem with most, not only VAs, most people in other professions.
Correct.
I think we're just too sensitive as Filipinos, don't you
I
think?
agree.
But I think there are also a set of us, a percentage of us who know how to be diplomatic and who understand that maybe people from clients from the US Canada, even from Russia or Ukraine,
Right.
are quite just straightforward.
Yeah.
But I believe what you said, if find the part where you're familiar with and stick to it.
Correct.
Most VAs don't want to stick with local, even if we're familiar with it, right? And they tend to just work as someone who does cold sales for any agency and then eventually quit. What would your top three advice to VAs who are starting out? Is there any recommended sources or resources rather, or any practice that you would recommend?
Okay, first would be learning what you're gonna offer. I think that's crucial because there are a lot of kinds of VAs in the market, and people think that when you're a VA, it's the same job. But what they don't realize is that there's a specification. So just like a doctor, you're a doctor, probably a medical VA. So there are VAs specifically to that one. There are marketing VAs. There are generalists. So these are all different things. And they always generalize that when you say you're a VA, you would think everything else under the sun is under your actual role. When in fact, you can choose which one you would like to take and which one you're more comfortable with. So, for example, a sales VA is technically very, very difficult because you have to sound like them. You have to sound like an American because you're going to talk to Americans, technically. So, I think the main key would be learning what you want to offer and knowing exactly that you want to offer that service. Because if you don't know and just apply in Upwork and these portals and you just like randomly send your CV to these people, you don't know what you're getting into. Sometimes people don't even read the job description. So I think you have to have that clear point that you really want to do that on. So that's the first one. Second would be upskilling. Probably if you're for marketing, that's where I think I can give resources to. Google Digital Garage is a good resource. So Google has different certifications for different kinds of marketing channels that you have to learn. So whether you're on SEO, you're on social media, you want to be a VA for YouTube, you want to be a podcast VA. These are all different things. So Google is a good resource. If you want to become more into Meta also have their own blueprint resources. You can also
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
accreditation for it. So it really depends. HubSpot is also a good portal for learning. So these are free resources that you can subscribe to. You can learn on your own. It's on your own pace. It depends really on what you want. So for marketing, those are the three different resources that they can look into. And then last tip would be, you have to be open when you're starting, open to the different kinds of industries because you don't know what you're getting into at first. So you kind of want to put your feet into the water and see like which one works. If you feel like this one's for you, maybe you can go ahead and upskill for that specific job just so you know what you're getting into. So I think those are the three important things if you really want to become and shift your careers into a VA.
I really love how you use the term upskill because not everyone knows how to scale up. But this one is improving your skills and trying to figure out like the expansion of that skill set once you put it into great resources. You're one of a few, especially in the digital marketing or marketing part, who would give those resources, especially ones in Google. And I think eventually they pay back really well.
Yeah.
They're free.
Yeah.
They have certifications for, I believe, navigation through AdSense.
Yes.
Or I think it was something, it has to do something with, yeah, I think it was AdSense, specifically for that, because they saw there was proof enough that if you would take this course and put it into practice and get clients to it, you could really scale your pay on the hour up to more than 100. I mean, there was this video I saw on TikTok. They fast forward the whole thing. This guy learned like AdSense. He got certification all through all levels. And right now he's looking at the jobs on TikTok, on Upwork. They're paying 150 per hour. And but to me, that's in reality, that guy probably spent like about 2 years to 3 years, and people think it's
Correct.
easy to do,
Yeah.
but it's free. You're
Yeah,
it's
it's
up
free,
you
it's
to
free.
get.
Correct.
What what are you most busy with these days? What kind of projects?
Video. Video content.
Mm.
So now that for forecast for 2024, everything. Well, we've been doing videos since we started technically the agency, but right now we're doing 50-50. So it used to be half creatives, or I mean like 80% creatives like static infographics, etc. Right now we're moving into photo shoots, video shoots. That's why we also created our own studio where we have to shoot everything, because we used to like get into different studios, rent all these equipment, and it's really costly at the end of the day. So now we also created our own studio where our own team can shoot in, and we also can
Wow.
have it rented as well.
It's where's your studio located at?
But it's in Fairview.
Oh, it's in.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of VAs in Farview. No, but that's great. We'd love to have a tour and cover it and see
Sure.
how it works. I think people would learn a lot from you, especially like VAs in the marketing or ads, even agencies. I mean, you're really into that creative part. Do you offer like for yourself? I mean, do you have any plans to? I heard that you're starting a podcast. Is this a podcast where people can learn about your experience or?
Yes. Okay, I'm also starting with a podcast. It's called What's Your Forte? So
Wow, I love
it's
that.
also talking to different people and asking them what's their forte. So we kind of like wanna get into the minds of these successful people and how they did it. What are the struggles? What can you do? What are the steps that you can actually take? Because it's the wisdom that you can also get from these people that can help you along the way. So it's something that's in the back burner for some time now. But what we want to do is to really put and give that sense of learning from other people as well. So that's why we wanted to create that.
So this is generally a podcast for
Podcast.
business?
Yes, for business.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, that's nice. Looking forward to that, and share that podcast when you launch so we could promote it. I believe
Yeah.
a lot of VA agency owners, they tend to just follow other agency owners in the same space or industry.
Correct.
But the way I learned this, especially because when we used to do a lot of websites for foreign clients, is that we didn't stick to a certain industry, but we were at a certain skill set where we just built websites, and every website that we built was from different areas of real estate,
Yeah.
e-commerce, and every business you could think about, doctors, coaches, and all that. So we sort of learn from building their website, what they do, what their specialty is. So it's sort of fun learning strategies from them as well on how they promote themselves just by using a website and building a website. So that came in very handy, and I believe most aspiring VAs who want to put up their agency should learn from others, not only from their space, because I know a lot of agencies are successful because of them doing it differently from others, just like yours. So I think the one interesting question I would ask next is, since you run an agency with over 50 people, 50 VAs, and you said earlier they all work part-time. So can you enlighten us about the salary range of someone of a VA working for you
Okay.
locally? So is this a local rate?
Not
per
so
se?
much. It's
Okay.
actually a little bit higher compared to the agencies in the Philippines.
Okay.
We are tiered a little bit higher. So the base rate would be somewhere around 25 to 30.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you compute that, it's also at par with the USD rate of a of a newbie, technically, for marketing.
And this is
Local.
this is local, and this is part-time?
Yes,
Wow.
part-time. So
Wow.
that's a difference. That's a difference. So
yeah.
people tend to stick around with us, and they also have the option to load up. So load up means, for example, I'm a VA now. I have X number of clients with me, so they have a base rate. If they want to load more clients, they have the option to do so. They just have to tell us, okay, I can accept 2 more clients. So they do have that
Wow.
option as long as they can meet the deadline. So that's the only caveat that we have.
That's quite interesting because
Yes.
if you are doing 25, are we talking net?
Yes, net.
Wow. Okay. Um, how about other perks like benefits and does that include or is this just like totally part-time or like freelance work?
Totally part time. So we don't have other benefits
Yeah,
aside
yeah,
from that one, but we made sure that the base rate is pretty high
yeah.
compared to the others. So that's how we actually compete with the agencies.
That's why locally with that, and plus
And
you're
we
doing.
do daytime. They only work around 10 to 7. I was telling Tin earlier that everyone, for example, it hits 7 p.m. Friday, I would tell them, please don't reply. Reply on Monday. Or even if the client replies, I'm the only one who has the power to reply to clients on weekends because I tell them, guys, please, please, please don't reply because we have to set that boundary.
Sounds familiar. Sounds familiar. Yeah, I used to comment a lot like, don't reply on weekends.
Yeah, I would tell
Yeah.
them don't reply unless they're dying. It's life or
Oh.
death situation. That's my exact line would be, pag hindi pa sila mamamatay, huwag ka mong reply. But really, because a lot of other clients would tend to, I mean, what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to train the people not to give the clients the power to handle them
Yes.
on weekends because they also have lives to live.
True.
So I want them to feel that they don't have that responsibility because when your phone pings, it's automatically signaling your brain to, hey, you have to reply. That's the automatic part of being human. So I just tell them, just don't reply, exit the app.
And that's one of the main causes of burnout,
Exactly.
right? VAs need to learn this. Okay, you're a generalist as a VA or you're an agency owner that you need to deal with clients. To me on the weekend, I mean, I would rather answer the clients because I know how to deal with burnout. But with staff and if the clients think that we're available 24/7, I don't think that's a healthy way of relations, especially in the beginning. I
Correct.
think it's important in the beginning if it's a new employer or if it's a new client or it's a new project, they have to respect the fact that people need to rest, especially on weekends, with their families and have at least 2 days off to recharge instead of coming back on a Monday and not being in the mood to work. So I think that's a very big factor. It's a very important thing that people need to consider. Um, a lot of my colleagues in the agency world would say, no, I'll answer them anytime. I mean, that's great. Okay. I think that's the way you do it. I used to do it that way. I used to be up even 4 a.m. in the morning just replying to them because of the time difference. But now I was so afraid to actually adjust to the point where I had to start respecting my own time and my own rest time. And I accepted the fact that if my current clients wouldn't agree to that and I lose them, I'll accept the fact that I'll look for other clients who would. The wonderful thing that happened with my transition to that was not a single client left because of that change. They actually respected me more and they're like, okay, we won't contact you at the hours that you mentioned, especially on the weekends, based on the time difference. And what was really amazing to that point up to now was the the thing that I didn't expect was they adjusted to my time. We didn't meet in the middle where, okay, this is my time, your time, this is where we meet in the middle. No, because they know if we met in the middle, that would be somewhere at the end of the day, in which we'll do the work the next day. In fact, what they did more efficiently was they had some of their staff stay up late just to communicate with us in the morning. So I think
Right.
that was the one thing that I didn't expect, and it's been working great. Mental health was way
Agree.
better,
Yeah.
and this adjustment took, I think, pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So during the pandemic, I had no problem, and
Exactly.
um, and when everyone was freaking out in the pandemic, where they were shifting to the online world.
We were in the online world already.
You're like, what? What's new? We were here long before the pandemic, the first pandemic hit ever, you know. So that was the great thing. Vanya, I know we could do 3 more podcast episodes with you because of your experience. It's been great. You totally gave us a different perspective on local clients. And I think most people should take in consideration that don't stick to global, because if everyone goes into recession in the US and in the other countries that you expect, like the UK, Australia, and even in the Middle East, where are you going to turn your back to? You're going to come back home, right? So even with OFWs, they go out there, oh, I'm in Dubai having a great time as an engineer or as a doctor, as a nurse. When things go bad outside, just like people in Ukraine and Russia, they come back. What are they set for? Local.
Correct.
Right? So I believe there is opportunity locally. They just need to accept the fact that we're all sensitive in this culture. And if we can't do global, then let's do local. And I think it's time for local businesses to accept the fact that, hey, VAs are on the rise and we could benefit way from them. Maybe it's also part of the government. I don't want to talk about government and all, but where we are, I think we believe we need to adjust.
Yeah.
And we need to take part of creating the opportunity instead of blaming whoever for not giving us the right opportunity, especially local. Can you give us your last few words of wisdom, whether it could be business, parenting, or calendaring, if you want to call that term? But I like that because utilizing calendars is also my thing. I also added one more thing to it because to me, calendars are for short and long term. To me, immediate, for the app that I use for immediate things that I need to do, like during the day, in the morning, I use reminders on the iPhone. That's because I can't put like, doctor's appointment reminders.
Right.
It's going to just be annoying. So since the habit is looking at the calendar every morning, okay, but I have my reminders like, feed the dog, right?
Yeah.
You can't put on a calendar, right? So small things, I believe, like I think you need that on a reminder. So for those who don't have, I believe, an iPhone or they use an Android, what do they have an equivalent of Android? I think they have the to-do, something, and they call it a to-do or something. Yeah. So, your last few words of wisdom?
Maybe just go ahead and try it. Because you wouldn't know if you don't try it. That's the first step in every single job, whatever job that is. And you have to also trust what you know. And you also have to research. I think that's the most important thing, especially for VAs. Because you have to get to the point where you're comfortable reading through things, listening to things. Because these are the things that you have to do for a client. Since you're working remotely, you don't see them. Or you don't see them in actual person. You just see them virtually. So you have to be able to know these basic things and remind yourself that, hey, I have to communicate through these portals so that I can understand what I need to do. And lastly, don't forget to ask questions because that's where you will learn. That's how I also learned because I didn't know SEO. I didn't know digital marketing. I wasn't that adept to anything that's VA related when I started, but I started asking questions and that's how I learned.
Just like what they said in the Bible, was it? Ask and you shall receive. I'm not religious, but that's a really good quote from what you just said.
Yeah, correct.
All right. Do you have, are you hiring? Do you have a website where we could visit you or communicate with you if we need to look for more wisdom or apply for a job, or if we have local and global clients that want to hire you? Do you have a website? You got socials?
I only have socials, so they can follow me on TikTok. I do TikTok content on business and marketing. So that's at Vanya Tantoco _. And then I just have to let people know that there are other accounts popping in and out.
Using your name and face?
Yes, using my name and face. So please don't engage with those accounts. But you can also email me at vanya@zstudiosph.com. So that's where you can direct your questions, or you can also go to Instagram if you need like a quick check on some things. I do free checks, I don't know, consultation sometimes. You just have to message me on Instagram. That's at Vanya Tantoco as well.
Wow, wow. A true challenge of a true upcoming rising star celebrity. That's usually the problems of getting fake accounts and all. Vanya, it's been wonderful having you. I'd love to invite you again. We'd love to take a tour in your studio in Fairview and
Sure.
hope we could do that real soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you making the time. I know
Thank
you're
you
such
also.
a
Thank you.
busy, you got 4 kids, an agency with 50 people. Can't believe you even made it here. And we deeply appreciate you taking the time to come
Thank you so much. I enjoyed today's session as
here.
well.
Same here, same here.